Hi guys, Dr. J here again. In this video we're going to go over the basics of how to design a song set for Sunday worship. So we're going to get right to it. The most important thing to consider when designing a set is you have to coordinate the theme of your set with the theme of the message. So you have to discuss with your pastor or whoever's speaking for that day kind of what is going to be the main point, what are the themes, and what's the biblical passage. So you kind of have to get yourself familiar with what is being spoken and kind of what are the main themes, and you have to tailor the songs according to that. Right? So number one thing, you want to make sure you don't clash with what the message is going to be about. You want to complement it, right? So in most worship settings, you're going to be singing a few praise songs first, and then maybe some announcements, and have the message, and then maybe cap it with a responsive song, right? So number one, that's the main thing, right? So the theme and the lyrics have to match. Number two, once you have your theme, you want to kind of tailor what are the songs that center around that theme, and within that framework, you want to think of at least three kinds of songs. First is a song of celebration, some kind of celebratory song, and no matter what the theme is, even if it's a theme about rebuking or a theme about Good Friday or something like that, even within that framework, there's some kind of celebration that is warranted, right? And why is that? Because you usually want to reflect the glory of God. You want to reflect the truth that we are no longer made captive even by sin or death, right? We have the victory through Christ Jesus, who we are co-heirs with, right? And we want that, and it's always warranted to have some kind of celebration, even if somewhat demure. And so there's number one, that kind of song. Usually they turn out to be faster songs, right? And then the second kind of song is an anthem song. An anthem is a kind of song that declares something. And a lot of the times anthem songs explore certain kind of facets about God, Jesus, the Christian walk, your response to God's goodness, something. The song is usually exploring kind of like a more finer detail. And kind of talking about that and really exploring that. That's kind of what that's about. So that's an anthem. A lot of hymns are like that kind of thing, or modern day hymns. Let's say like Living Hope is one by Phil Wickham. That's a modern day hymn that kind of like an anthem, right? A lot of the Chris Tomlin songs are anthems too. Like a lot of these things where you're declaring God's goodness, right? The song Jesus Messiah comes to mind, right? Where it's exploring a specific attribute about Jesus being the Messiah, right? Okay, so let's go over the third kind of song, which is a responsive song. A responsive songs usually are slower, but they don't have to be. But they're one that invites the listener to respond to the message of the gospel, right? So, or invites them to draw nearer to God, or to invite them to pray more, or to pray, at all, that kind of stuff. So, the responsive song is like that kind of thing, or a song of repentance, or things like this, right? So that's a responsive type song, and I think of songs like "I Need You More" by Bethel Worship, where it's inviting the listener to sing along, saying, "God, I really do need you. I am desperate," like that kind of thing. Or let's say a song like "Amazed" by Jared Anderson, right? Where we're just exploring a very basic thing, and we're not going too deep into kind of like the attributes. We're just talking about you're amazed at God's goodness and God's presence, right? And you don't have to talk much more than that, right? But it's a song that just invites the listener deeper and deeper, just meditate and pray about God's goodness, right? Things like that. All right, so that's kind of in terms of shaping what are the kinds of songs you're singing. In terms of thematic orientation, we're going to also go over the musical orientation of how to design a song set. This is the other half of this thing, right? It's important for us to realize that actually the flow of the worship matters, right? If you're singing a song and then you break, because let's say the next song requires for you to put a capo on, right? Or you're switching keys, or you're switching the meter of the song from 4/4 to 6/8, or you're switching from a complex thing, or the electric guitarist needs to change the settings, or the keyboard has to change the settings on the dial in order to prepare for the next song. You want to find a way to minimize those things. And how do you do that is by planning in advance the song in order, right? Or picking the song at all, right? You want the songs, let's say, to go from one to another, and you want the key also to be the same if you can, right? That way you're trying to invite a seamless, kind of duration of worship. Like you're going from one song to the next, to the next, to the next, and you're not kind of like requiring long breaks between songs, right? Because when there's a break of the song, that may distract the worshiper from being able to continue on. Let's say they're having a moment with God, right? You got there with that song, and then the song ended, and then there's just a silence that goes on. I mean, I'm not saying that there can't be silence between songs. Yeah, there could be. But what's important is that it's a prolonged silence or something like that. It takes you a minute to set up for the song to song. These are the things you're trying to minimize, and planning the songs in advance may help that by picking a song that are similar in terms of musicality, right? A song that requires, let's say, the same key to the next, in some instances may invite you to even make a medley. So you're going from, let's say, one song to the next, and you can jump right for another seamlessly. And then with a medley, you can even go back to the original song, and you can make it like into this one long, mega song, and you're kind of tying two themes kind of together seamlessly, and you can really get to a really nice place doing that. And that's only possible by making it the same key. Also, the speed, the tempo of the song kind of has to be the same between song A and song B, right? So if they're both anthems, and if you can play both the same key, and they're both the same theme, you might have hit kind of like a really nice groove there, right? Going from A to B to A and then back to B, or you can choose as the worship leader which way we even go, right? And in that way, you might even be able to invite the worshipers to another place, right? And God can use those type of things, draw people in deeper in a relationship with them, right? So these are the things we can do musically to kind of design a set in such a way that kind of helps kind of shape the worship. Because at the end of the day, what we're doing with a song set is not that different from what a pastor does when they're designing their message, right? Because baked into the song set, it's kind of like you're presenting the gospel all over again. You have a celebration, right? You have an anthem where we're talking about something about and declaring something about God's goodness, and you're inviting a response, right? Celebration can only be possible in the light of knowledge of Christ being the victor, right? And you celebrate with God because we're co-heirs with Him, right? It's how do you celebrate unless we share in that glory? We share in that inheritance, right? How is that possible? So that's part of that, right? And the anthem is allowing us to declare His goodness, and that's part of God's command to us, that we make disciples of all the nations, right? And how are we doing that? By declaring His goodness, and that's what the anthem is doing. Allows us to testify, and it's just a testimony set to music, right? Or a prayer set to music, right? And that's all we're doing with this. It's no different, right? You can declare the same words in the lyrics, and you're singing it out. Now it's set to a melody. This is a way to kind of really bring it up, right? That's what the anthem's doing. And then you're inviting response. And in such a way, if you're designing a set in a way that kind of flows together, you've essentially presented the gospel, just with songs. And so just, you have to realize that what you're doing with the music actually is more than just music. It's more than just notes on the page. It's more than just you playing notes on a chord with a guitar. We're able to declare God's goodness, and we're presenting the gospel message before it's even spoken of with the pastor's message, right? So in such a way, you're kind of like a minister too, right? You may not think of yourself as one, but you have to recognize what you're really doing and what God could do through you. So with all these things come in mind, you got to think about that when you're designing a song set, all right? So with that, we have to put that into practice. I'm just giving you an idea of kind of what a song set that I did recently could look like. I'm just turning on my device. I'm going to read for you what a recent set I did. So I did a 5-song set not that long ago, and I started off with Great Things, Phil Wickham, which is a faster song, and we're talking about God's goodness. We're celebrating that. And we're doing another celebration song. We're doing Lion and the Lamb, by Bethel Worship. And then I moved on to I Need You More, also by Bethel. And this is a responsive song, right? Kind of you're asking the listener and the congregant to say, I need you more, I'm dependent on you, right? And I move on to I Surrender All. It's kind of like a hymn, another anthem song. And then I move on to another anthem song, inviting the worshiper to sing along with me, The Goodness of God, Bethel Worship. So this is my 5 songs that I did recently, incorporating kind of these 3 elements, right? They don't have to be in a specific order, but you want to make sure that they are together with each other. And by the way, all the songs are in G that I did. So I just stayed in the key of G the whole time. And that is something, as an example, that I can give to you kind of what I did recently. All right. So hopefully that's helpful for you. I hope this video is helpful for you as well. All right. So keep on playing.